I'll never forget the first time I learned about Michigan PIP. I had worked a lot with MedPay and Washington PIP, so I thought I could relate when the auto product leader I was chatting with mentioned Michigan PIP. Oh no, I could definitely not relate. Oh yeah, it's a little bit different. Michigan PIP is unlike anything I have ever seen. It doesn't just cover medical expenses, no fault medical expenses at that. It also covers wage loss, up to 85% of pay for 3 years, replacement services like shoveling snow and raking leaves, and medical mileage reimbursement for travel to and from medical appointments. And the medical expenses are a lifetime benefit. After I recovered from my shock, I remember asking the product leader how you even begin to rate for a coverage like that. And he basically said, you can't. Obviously you can try, which is why Michigan has the highest auto premiums in the entire United States, but you can't really succeed, which is why Michigan had to create its own state-backed reinsurer, the Michigan Catastrophic Claims Association, to help finance PIP. The 2019 legislative session, however, has created more than a sandbox. It looks like Michigan is about to get its very own PIP reform. On May 24th, 2019, Michigan's legislature passed a new Michigan no-fault law known as Senate Bill 1, presumably because it's the best bill they've ever passed. Big change number 1, Michigan drivers will no longer be required to purchase unlimited PIP. Instead of having one state-mandated coverage, Michigan drivers will now be able to choose from 5 coverage options. Unlimited PIP, like all drivers currently have, $500,000 coverage, $250,000 coverage, $50,000 coverage, or $0 coverage. If a driver has health insurance that covers collision injuries, they can opt out completely, except for drivers with Medicaid who are required to carry at least $50,000. I imagine this was one of the most heavily debated and negotiated pieces. Currently, it's the insurance companies that pay for accident injuries. They're primary. As the carrier portion shrinks, the burden on government-funded health programs increases. You can imagine that those organizations had a lot of thoughts on this legislation. And speaking of heavily debated pieces of legislation, let's talk about the rate impact. After all, the core problem for Michigan drivers is not the insurance company's balance sheet. Their problems are more along the lines of paying $5,464 a year to insure their car, which is the average premium in Detroit. Quite a bit more than the national average of $1,470. Senate Bill 1 attempts to solve this problem from 2 angles. First, it implements a medical fee schedule for hospitals, doctors, and specialists who treat injured parties. Currently, auto insurers pay much more for the same services than employer healthcare plans or government programs. Under the new legislation, auto insurers will pay only 200 to 240% of Medicare rates. I imagine this verbiage was not too popular with the medical lobbying community, but it should help reduce some of the gross medical expenditures. Second, auto insurers are going to have to cut their rates for at least 8 years. This means a 10% rollback for unlimited PIP, 20% rollback for $500,000 PIP, 35% rollback for $250,000 PIP, 45% rollback for $50,000 PIP. While the bill did have bipartisan support, it was introduced by the GOP and signed by Governor Gretchen Whitmer, who is a Democrat. It has not been without some controversy. As with any legislative change, there have been varying opinions across the spectrum. On one end of the spectrum, opponents have criticized the bill as a giveaway to insurance companies that destroys a much-needed safety net for accident victims. On the other end, there are voices that have been clamoring for change for years, citing rampant fraud with statements like, "Carriers with claims here face a non-stop assault from fraudulent casualty claimants, embellished or non-existent caregivers, unscrupulous physicians and medical clinics, along with a variety of other parasitic service providers." So what do you think? Did Michigan strike the right balance between insurer and consumer interests? Check out the full bill linked above and let me know your thoughts. And don't forget to subscribe to the Insurance Nerdery, where it is cool to be a nerd. See you next time.